And gold being heavier and everything, it stayed in one little streak or whatever. And then erosion over the years is what washed it down. So when you're looking for gold, you don't necessarily look in the streams. You look in the streams just for signs of it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you find a big sign of it, okay, like a lot in one little spot or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
that's when you go in to the land. Also, if there's a creek running down or whatever, the gold is deposited in the soil around it, and the erosion breaks it loose and brings it down. And that's what everybody's been looking for lo these many years is the mother lode,
Uh-huh.
where it came from. Did you see the movie McKenna's Gold?
Nope.
Rent it, or whatever, and watch it, because it has a good, you fixing to lose your glasses there.
Oh, thanks.
It has a good footage of what, now whether that's true or not or whatever, but they go into this, it's in Arizona. It's based on the Lost Dutchman gold mine, okay? And they go into this hidden dead-end canyon, kind of, right? You have to go through a cave to get in it and everything like that. And when they get in there, there's a streak of gold as high as a 10-story building or whatever. It comes down to a point. You see it laying in a layer in the rock face across the valley, right? And that's pretty much the image, or actually it's not, it's the way the gold was laid in one big bunch, and then it eroded down. Okay, the movie, of course, is based on the Lost Dutchman gold mine, which happened back in the 1800s. When the Dutchman went in there and he got his gold and everything, but then he couldn't find it when he come back because of the way it's set, and plus it's also protected by the Indians. So the water came down during the winter. It came down this gully here, came down this gully here. Okay, because the creek is just right there, and when the water was high, the water got up to, probably to that bottom limb right there. Well, you see where the bark is kind of stripped off of there on that limb?
Yeah.
Okay, that's how high the water got this winter. And that's just off of the rains. That's before any snow melt. Okay, so
Wow.
It did a good job of eroding not only here, but up the creek and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And Mr. Ralph Schock over here is on an old riverbed, one of the prehistoric riverbeds. So that's where he's getting quite a bit of gold. So, well, what I do is I bring them down here, and we go down to this gully. I've dug here, and I've dug on the other end, and I found gold on both ends. Okay? You can see the gold is going to be, it's 14 times heavier, so it's going to sink to the bottom. Right?
Okay, right.
This is bedrock right here. This is the bottom. The gold ran down through here. You see that shale lip right there, right? Okay. This guy right here. Okay. You see you got a creek crack right here. It goes right down in here, and it ended up against this wall here. This crack right here was another guy. The gold came across the top here, and it come down here, and it got caught in this little crack right here. Okay? So therefore, right there is another good catcher. Right? Okay. You come across here, right in here is another catch. Because I'm almost down to the bottom in this hole right here. Here you got this wall right here, and it stopped it. Some of it coming around, went down the crack and come across here, come across the top, sifted down, the water running, washed it down. You want to look, when you're looking, you want to look for areas where it's rocky, say on the top, right? But then you got this fine sand right here. Okay? You got these roots right here. Roots and everything are a good catch-all. The old-timers, they used to take and whenever they had metal pans, right? And they took and fired them in a fire and then let them rust. Okay, the rust then caught the gold when they were panning, but they also took and put root stuff like this and moss out of the creeks and burned it. Old, like if there was a root across here, a big root, say like this big around or whatever, had been in the water a long time, was rotting or whatever, they let it dry out, put it in the pan, burned it up, The heat of the fire would melt the gold. A wood fire is hotter than a gas fire, right? So therefore, the gold is just hot enough to melt the gold into a puddle. And so once they got all the stuff burnt out of it, then all the gold would be right there in a little nugget. All the fines, little bitty stuff. So what you do is get your stuff here. I have my Tupperware scoop. I have my little trowel, and I have my rod. And you go down. You see how deep this hole is? You bring the material up, put it in the bucket. You want to go as far down as you can, because that gold, the bigger stuff, is going to be on the bottom. This is how this is an area that slopes down, kind of. Then all your gold will still, it'll also be in here. I pulled this rock out yesterday. Okay, this guy behind me here is a natural. Because he was laying like this, and there was a area below him where the gold settled in.
Now, when you look at this, are you thinking in terms of how it was during the heavy runoff?
Yeah.
Is that the idea?
Mm-hmm.
Because right now, you know, it's covered with silt, but at the time of the heavy runoff, were we down to this level? Is that what you're saying? Or is this years ago that it was down at that level?
This is accumulation. We've had the drought here for 8 years, so there hasn't been a lot of water come across this area. In fact, with all these berry vines here and everything, with all the roots in here, this area has been completely covered with berry vines, so not a lot of people have dug here. Okay? So this is an accumulation of years before and, you know, now. Some of it was washed when the creek was high and everything. Naturally, it's going to wash stuff out. And by the lay of the land, okay, you have what they call overburden, okay, from the rains. The gold naturally is going to sink to the bottom. The overburden is going to cover it. I had dug this hole out here before the rain started. And then we had about, 2-3 weeks of rain. This creek was up, and it was depositing all this material like this. Okay? And so, therefore, it filled my hole up again. So any new gold was deposited in there, plus any of the older gold that hadn't been got before. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's the accumulation of years. There's places on this creek that haven't been dug in over 80 years because of being privately owned or whatever the case may be, the land around it. Now the state owns the land as per se, all right?
The river itself.
The water itself, right, okay? But the people own the property around it. Now, some of them say if you go on my property, you know, I'll shoot you or whatever the case may be. Posted no trespassing or whatever, so that limits your access to it. But once you're in the creek, if you go in, say, up where it's open or whatever, and you walk down the creek, then it's open property. They can't say a thing about it. They do, but, you know, property nowadays is sold, you don't get the mineral rights and you don't get the water rights. So, you know, a lot of people say, well, it's my property, but they don't have any access to it because they don't have the mineral rights. Now, if they had the mineral rights, it's true, you could not go on it.
So the government still owns the mineral rights even if you've bought the property. You have to buy them separately.
Right. Right. It has to be stipulated in your contract that those mineral rights are yours. And now, with claims and everything, of course, claims are still 20 acres. Okay? So if you file a claim, let's say you find this right here, if I wanted to file a claim on it, it's up to 20 acres. So, that would give me the mineral rights to it. Okay? But seeing how this is easement to the road, right? You got easement from the road so far, and you've also got from the creek easement to the high water mark. Okay? It's not restricted just to the water itself. It's to the high water mark of the creek.
Yeah.
Which in this case would be that limb over there that I showed you, where the water had washed the bark off of it. Or right around that tree right there, see where the roots are bare and such? Okay, that's how high the water got. So that would be the high water mark to this area, to this creek.
Yeah.
And that, therefore, is access to this creek. That gives me access to it. If you notice...
So even if someone had bought the mineral rights, that easement allows anybody access?
Right. And if you notice this fence right here, just up there, right? Okay, that guy owns that property to the high water mark. You notice the fence doesn't come all the way down. That's because he can't get that property.
Right.
Because it is high water mark. It's like building in a flood zone.
Yeah.
You know, you can build there, but you're at your own risk. It's like that camp over there just across the bridge there that we passed, the tent city. Okay, same thing. He's built there, but it's at his own risk because of the high water mark. Now he's leased the property that's above the high water mark, which keeps the people off of it, right? So we'll do a little bit of this, and then we'll go wash it out and see what we got. It's a real tricky business.
Yeah, this is great because it's not what the normal person thinks of how you look for gold.
Right.
Most people think you go out in the middle of the stream, and here you are
Way over on the side.
using your understanding of where the gold should be to get the dirt first. Then you're going to go to the stream, I assume, to actually do the panning.
See, well, like you say, everybody thinks it's in the stream. It is in the stream. Your bigger stuff is in the streams, okay? Because it being heavier, it's not going to say washed down this gully or whatever, right? And it's going to sink to the bottom. It's going to roll a little bit, but it'll sink to the bottom, okay? The only way you get it out of the middle of the water, though, is either by diving and dredging or swimming. You know.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I almost did that a few times this winter. But the dredge is how you get it out of the middle.
Yeah.
You have to use a pump and everything. It's vacuum, kind of. There! After quail.
Yeah, a lot of quail around here.
Oh, yeah. Also, he makes his break when he goes to the bathroom. He has to have his privacy.
Yeah,
So he makes his breakaway. And
you've trained him well. You've raised him well.
typical child. Okay. Now this bedrock here, there's a wall there also. So this is a good sized hole, just about like this guy right here. And what I'll do is I'll just continue on around through here and just keep digging out the holes. Because that's where you find not the fines, the nuggets to your big flake to your fines. The fines being lighter, they're going to be on the top. They're going to be up around here.
What do you call a find?
A fine?
Oh, a fine. Okay.
It's real small.
Yeah.
Kind of like a little dot.
Okay. Is that the same as powder or flour, rather?
It's a little bit bigger.
Bigger than
like
flour.
Bob there says, there's cornmeal, there's sugar, and then your real fine baby powder or whatever, you know. Real fine stuff. The flour is real minuscule, and it's going to be, well, about the only way you can get your flour, actually and truly, unless there's a whole lot of it that you can get off of the black sand, is with mercury. Okay, the mercury picks up the gold, doesn't pick up anything else. Then you have to distill the mercury off of the gold.
Right.
And that's where your problems come in, because a lot of people don't look, you know, well, they don't pay attention to what they're doing. That's why you can be digging, like in here or on the stream or whatever, you can still pull mercury out of these creeks that the old timers used.
Ooh.
Yeah. It's fact. It's in a solid form. It's gray colored. Your gold, it'll be covering your gold. And you have to just burn it off, or use acid. They use acid for it or whatever. I don't like either one.
Don't you have to be a little careful with mercury? That's
yeah, it's toxic.
Yeah.
Very, very toxic. It'll make a vegetable out of you real quick. Like.
I've seen people fishing in this area. I wonder if they have to worry about that at all. Mercury in the fish.
I don't even know if they even realize it.
Yeah.
You know, because it's one of those things, like I say, that you don't pay that close attention to unless you are around it. A prospector, he finds it in the creek, or he uses it to get the fine dust out, right? But if he don't use it right, then he's not only polluting the area he's in, he's making it dangerous for just the GP person who comes along, you know.
Right.
General population.
Can I help you? I have one hand free here.
Oh, well, let's shake hands in.
Okay.
Nice of you to join us, Mr. Bear. Come on. Hurry up. Dr. Quinn, medicine woman, did a show here a while back. One of their shows was about the mining company that was there, and they were polluting the water with mercury.
Oh,
People were getting sick, the fish were dying off, people were eating the fish or whatever, you know, or drinking the water. And this old guy was using mercury in the mine, using an ore crusher, and breaking up the material and everything, then using the mercury to collect the fines. Okay? He had to go to war and all this good jazz, you know. But, like I say, people don't realize that. What you do is you set your sluice to where you get X amount of water coming across. You have it as level as possible. Which is sometimes easier said than done. Then you put your material across here. The gold will come across the ripples here and will settle in here to about right here. About halfway down from the ripple. Okay, same down here. Okay, when this clogs up, you run your finger across here, 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 and here very quickly in order to move your material out of the way so that your gold doesn't get hung up and roll over the top of it. Okay? So what you do is you just take this stuff right here, put it across here, break it up so that your gold will stay in your ripples. Now you can have your hand down here all you want, right in here. But when it gets in here, you want to be real quick. There again, root material and such as that, you want to break it up because that's where your gold is hiding. You want to make sure you check your rocks and everything, make sure you're not throwing a nugget out. If there are nuggets here, they're few and far between, but they are here.
Yeah.
You're more likely to find your nuggets, like I say, down in the water, across that rim right there, at the base of that rim of rock right there. Okay? See how this big rock lays and it puts a crease or a crack right through there?
Right.
Your gold is going to settle right in there. Because it comes to a point here, okay, and then goes out and stands over here. Now if you had one of those lookers like I told you about, one of the little magnifying guys that you could take and put down in the water and see, you could possibly see some nuggets running through there. So it's a fine, the equipment and everything Yes, there's a fine line. There's technology to it and everything else. But whereas this sluice right here uses rug material, the old-timers used burlap sacks. And then after they collected and used it for X amount of time, they'd take it there again. They'd put it in the pan, strip it, put it in the pan, and wash and burn it. Any fines that were left in the burlap sack got melted, and they got into a little ball, a little nugget or whatever, and that was the easy way to do it. So.
Well, I can see that these sluices look a lot more efficient than a pan.
Well, you know, the sluices, you can cover more ground with a sluice, right? Because you can work it quicker. The water helps you. You still come back to number one guy, the pan. Yeah. You still have to pan this down after you get all this done.
Okay.
So you always come back to the pan. That's the number one ingredient to learning how to look for gold, is how to use the pan. Unless you use the mercury. And if you've got bigger guys or whatever, you don't even need the mercury. You always want to check your quartz pieces, because the gold would settle to the quartz. Okay? And when it was molten and everything, it was layered in your quartz.
Is there any quartz in there now, just to could hold up a piece? And...
Well, you find a piece of quartz that has a vein of gold in it, right? See that's clay. Limestone.
I've heard people talk about black sand. What is that exactly?
Black sand is iron ore. It's iron. Sometimes it's most of it is iron. Some of it can be obsidian or onyx or something like that has broken down and everything and settled. But when you've got your black sand in your pan, you can take a magnet and put it across the bottom of your pan, underneath the pan, and it'll pick up the black sand and move it out of the way so you can get your gold.
There's another trick.
A lot of your bigger pieces of gold and everything back at the shop there, piece of equipment that's out there in front is a big magnet. Okay, and that magnet was used that when they blasted and everything, they used steel wire. Okay, and also when they were drilling, the drill bits and everything were steel, so that it kept it from going into the crusher and kept it from doing that. But it also, if the gold was, say, deposited in a big piece of iron ore or something like that, right, it would pull that iron ore off, keep it there so it didn't go on in, and then they could find specimens. Okay? And when they had a specimen then is when you have a find, like the guys, the ones that they pulled out this winter from Sonora Mining Company. The one piece of crystal, and the 60-pound nugget was the largest piece of 99.99% pure crystalline gold found in mining history. See, it was 60 pounds.
Wow.
So that right there makes it worth more as a specimen than it is for the gold value itself. It's valued at about $3.5 million, $4 million. So here's a piece of quartz. Okay. Sometimes you'll find the gold will be in layers, like this is in a layer right here. Okay. You'll find a layer of gold in this quartz. Now this, I'm pretty sure, is sugar quartz. There wasn't a lot of gold found in sugar quartz. Okay, sugar quartz being that if you hit it with a hammer, it's going to look like sugar granules, right? Solid quartz find a piece here. Hanging around here. Okay. And again, that's a piece, I think that's a piece of sugar quartz. It's not real. Solid quartz would be in real heavy, you know, it'd be real dense. That's sugar quartz. There was a big piece here, solid quartz, but you know, we get a lot of sugar quartz in this area because it comes down out of the hills.
Okay, now what exactly are we doing here with the sluice? We're letting the fine clay wash away, is that it?
You're letting the dirt and the clay wash on off. You're letting the stream do your work,
Okay.
actually. If we were in the pan, we'd have to do this job here and then wash it as we go. You know, let the water run off and all that good jazz. It'll take about, if you're good, you can do a pan in about 10 minutes. Okay. You still got to get these rocks out of the way. Okay. Even though these rocks are big and everything, when you get them in the pan, they're going to float off to the top. Okay, because of the water, the hydraulics. So, what we're doing is we're just washing it a bigger amount of material than what we'd normally have in a pan. Because you'd only have you wouldn't even have a quarter of this amount of material in your pan.
Okay, so we're, in a sense, we're concentrating the good stuff, so when you get it in your pan, then you've got more to work with, more gold, hopefully.
Right, right. When this stuff gets wet, it turns to a hard pack. Okay? Because it's clay, iron, and everything else. And with the agitation, that's why the gold stays so well. Okay? Because once this stuff settles, it's just like cement. Sure that's mica. Yeah. So that's fool's gold. You see how shiny it looks, how grayish?
Right.
Okay. Now the way it was shining in the water, I thought, man, that looks like a piece of gold. You know, a nice piece. But if you'll watch it now, watch my finger. See how it breaks up?
Right.
Gold won't do that. If that had been a piece of gold, it would have stayed solid. A lot of these streams, rivers, some of them have a lot, some of them have a little. Tuolumne River, which is a real good gold river, it has a lot of pyrite. You put it in your pan and it takes you the whole pan to get the pyrite out.
Put this up on sticks and then I can get down there myself.
And right there is a piece of gold.
No kidding.
Right there.
Let me see that.
I don't know if you can see it or not. Sun. That little speck right there. A little flake of gold.
I can see it.
Can you see it?
Yep.
Now you notice it's on the top. But I've already washed it, so if there was any more, it would be in the bucket now.
Wow.
Take it. Wash her down.
So you have a lot of confidence you can get that little piece out of the bucket now.
Yeah, I do. Now, if it was a novice here, I wouldn't have that much confidence. In fact, when I use the sluice on my tours, I pan the concentrates down. This is what's known as concentrates now, because the water's already washed it. Okay, and we're down to just the sand and the black sand and a few rocks. The rocks are good because they'll take and they'll separate the gold out of the sand, put it to the bottom of the pan. All right. Now, when this carpet here gets so bad that you can't use it anymore, I'll take it, strip it down, and burn it, and then I'll get the gold.
How much would come out of burning it?
Possibly as much as maybe 3, 4, 5 grams. Okay, you see here now, what we've got is just fine sand. Right?
Yeah.
You can even see the black sand. And when you wash it out of the bucket, all you have to do is take a little bit of water and wash it out like that. My spectacles on.
So all that boiled down to that, into that pan.
All that was in the sluice, that whole bucket full boiled down to what's in here. Okay? What you do is, you still got mud there, so you wash it down some more. Now the prospectors will say, well, you got to go to the black sand. You got to go to the black sand. Well, true, you got to go to the black sand. But depending on how much concentrates you have in a pan, sometimes that gold won't make it all the way to the black sand. You know? You got to take your rocks out so that you can see what you're doing. You check them, make sure that there's no nuggets. Notice I'm not getting rid of any material yet except the big rocks. What I'm doing is I'm getting rid of the mud that's in the pan. It might be around any rocks that didn't get washed off in the sluice. You not only find gold, you know, people look for gold, but a lot of people just like to look at the rocks. You can find some pretty stuff. You can find jasper, garnet. They say where you find garnet, you find gold. Because they were made about the same temperature. They're also about the same weight in the pan. If you're in an area that's got a lot of garnet or whatever, when you get down to your sand, you will find garnet in that sand. See, water's getting clearer now, so the mud's getting off of the material. Pull it up like that so that you can get any of the bigger rocks out still, because you got to have them rocks out of the way to see your gold. Everybody thinks, you know, we have hour tours and such as that, right? Hours and 2 hours and such as that. And a lot of people they'll just take an hour tour because of the cost or whatever the case may be, but they don't take into effect or into account that hour tour you might find some and you might not. You know, you see the bigger rock, some of the stuff is just coming, it'll just come right off, just like so. There again, you still got rocks hid in it.
I noticed it looked like you're using those riffles to kind of quickly get the rocks out and hold the gravelly sand.
Yeah. That's what their purpose is. It holds the sand, which in turn holds the gold. See those big rocks on the stream there, piled up there?
Yeah.
Okay. Those guys channel the gold on the bottom. Okay? Now your gold will come around them or over them or whatever, in whichever position they're laying. Sometimes they'll take it and lay it down, and sometimes they'll trap it, and sometimes they'll take and let it go on. So that's what you look for when you're looking for gold. You're looking for the lay of the rocks. Like that guy right there, that long guy with the moss on top of him.
Yeah.
Okay, during the high water and such, he would have been channeling right this way, right to this bedrock right here. And channeled it right into there. See, that's how the water goes, you know. If you got a little bend there, your gold is going to come across. Now, it would have channeled it possibly right into this area right here if I was going to be dredging. I'd work from there over this way, or just go straight up the bank. It would depend on which way the gold was coming in out of the ground, you know. The reason this area is so rich in gold is not because of the streams and such, it's because of the land itself. There was a family over in Tuttletown that they were doing some work in their pasture, and they took a tractor in there with a disc and everything and turned it over. They were walking around picking up nuggets. I had some people in there that said they sold 20 acres with a mining claim on it over there about 13 years ago for $35,000. That 20 acres is a mining claim. Nowadays, back then, see, when they used the ore crushers and everything, they didn't have a lot of time to look. They were in a hurry to get rich quick. So they missed a lot of ore that had gold in it. So you can go now and check out the old mine tailings off of a mine, and you can get just as much gold as they got back when they mined it.
Yeah. Where do you go to find the tailings?
The tailings are right by the mine. They're either above it, above the mine shaft, or to the side of it. You can go through the hills and see old mines laying around, old tailings. Okay. As you see, I haven't got down to the black sand. That's because I'm chicken. I go through it first like this to get rocks out of it. Little minuscule guys. Okay. And also to see if there's any big stuff in there that might disappear because of the little guys. Okay. And you can see the black sand at the edges. Okay. And that one guy ought to be showing up here shortly. People buy a gold panning or whatever. See? You see him coming up?
Oh, yeah.
You see the sand is falling away?
Yeah.
The gold piece is staying right there.
Yep.
Okay, people will buy, and that's a nice chunky little guy too. People will buy a gold pan or whatever and come out here and expect me to show them how to do it in one time. Then they go home and they try it and they can't do it. You know? And they say, well, she showed me how. It must be a ripoff. You know? But you don't learn this stuff in one day. It takes practice. It takes lots and lots of practice. Hey, I caught a mosquito too. How about that? Take and put him on your finger.
Yep.
Now he's not much. He's not no nugget or whatever, no big guy. But
It's real gold.
it's real gold, and it's also the jewelry value of it. You know, a piece like that will give you more than, say, a big nugget almost, like the crystalline gold. Okay, now I can, since I got him, I usually only get one big guy to a pan. Now I can go down finer and see what comes out. The more you work it, the more of this stuff that you get off. Okay. Some old timers will tell you if you don't find the black sand, you're not going to find gold. Well, that's not entirely true. Black sand, red sand, or whatever, it depends on the area of where you're looking, what that material is like. Gold can be colored like copper out of the raw. You know, it can be red, or it can be brown, or it can be a tad bit lighter, or whatever. Pure crystalline is real yellow. Okay? And the black sand, sure, it holds it in the pan, right? But you don't have to have it to find the gold. There's a place over on the Stanislaus River where there is no black sand in one creek there, okay? But below it on the river is enough black sand to choke a horse, and there's nothing in it, in the black sand, because I've looked. There's a little piece there. See that guy? You notice everything else moved, but he doesn't? Look for something that doesn't move.
Yeah, actually do.
You look for the guy that doesn't move.
You gotta have a nice touch to this. I can see why Nick said the wide bottom is useful.
Right. Because a narrow bottom pan will move your material. You'll have too close an area to look.
Yeah. Well, maybe I should consider one of those green guys.
Now, the only way you get rich real quick in gold prospecting is if you find a real good pocket, right? Yeah. Otherwise, you kind of pick and choose. You have one day that you find a whole lot, and the next day you won't find hardly nothing. This right here was found in an hour, plus what I just put in there this morning. Okay, that's a goodly amount of gold right there.
Sure is.
Yeah, I thought it was in the same spot though, okay? It's where I just dug this out of, right? So therefore, as you can see, you got to go a little bit further.
I noticed you did that underwater. Is that?
That's to get rid of the bubble so you can see your gold better.
Oh, okay.
See?
Yeah. That's beautiful.
See, the convex of the glass kind of magnifies it a little, gives it a little more character. That's a nice big piece there that we found yesterday. But it also allows you to see it better. But you show somebody a bubble in your gold vial, right? Now, if you look at the bottom, so look at it from the bottom.
Yeah.
It doesn't look so big, right?
Yeah.
But you look at it from the top, when you got a good gold
You
strike.
got nuggets.
So, as you can see, it takes practice.
Yeah.
Like I say, I've been doing it all winter. I was out here in the winter, in the cold, rubber gloves on with mittens, wool mittens inside to keep my fingers from freezing off. And even then, it still was very
I believe
cold.
it.
I had 2 pairs of socks on these guys and everything. So.